Okay, we are on section 6.4, which is factoring special forms. The objectives is to factor the difference of two squares. We're really not going to do factoring perfect square trinomials because it works the same as the 6.3 and 6.4 that you've done with the trinomials. So I'm not going to make you learn a special form just for that when you can do it the other way. And then 3 is factor the sum and difference of two cubes. So let's look at factoring the difference of two squares. You have this formula here. You have a squared minus b squared. If things are in the form a squared minus b squared, you can write a plus b times a minus b. It's equal to that. That's a factored form of it. So let's look at the first example. Move it up. You have x squared minus 4. Now, x squared is written in terms of squares. We have to write the 4 in terms of squares so that we can get our b. A is x. So if it's written in terms of squares, you already have your a or your b. So x squared is fine, but 4, you can think of it as taking the square root of 4 to find out what b is. Square root of 4 is 2. Or you can think of it as if we square 2, we get 4. So 2 squared is 4. So I can write 4 as 2 squared. And that means my a is x and my b is 2. So now I just plug it into the formula. A plus b and a minus b. If a is x, it would be x, and b is 2, it would be x plus 2 times x minus 2, and that's it. Let's look at b. On b, you got 81x squared minus 49. 81 has to be written as a square too. I know that x is squared, but right now that's the only thing written as a square. And also we got to do 49. So I can write 81 as 9 squared, because, well, square root of 81 is 9, so that means 9 squared is 81. So I can say this is 9 squared and x squared minus 49. Square root of 49 is 7. 7 squared is 49, so I can write minus 7 squared. My a is both, and I'm going to make a fat A so you know. My a is both 9 and x, and my b is 7. So when I write it, I have 9x plus 7, 9x minus 7, and same thing. This is multiplication, just like with trinomials. It doesn't matter what order you write them in. You could write it 9x minus 7 first. Let's look at C. You got x to the 4th minus 81. X to the 4th has to be written as a squared. The way to write that as a squared is we're going to have a power raised to a power squared. And it just so happens that x squared, that if you have a power raised to a power, you'd multiply. We'd have 2 times 2. So that would be x to the 4th, because x to the 2 times 2 means x to the 4th. And now we've got our x to the 4th written in terms of squares. Minus 81. 81 has to be written in terms of squares. We already did 81. That's 9 squared. So my a is x squared and my b is 9. We get, if we do our a plus b, we got x squared plus 9 and x squared minus 9. Do your checkpoints here. Pause here. When you come back, I'll give you the answers. The answer to checkpoint 1 is x plus 9, x minus 9. And the answer to checkpoint 1A, so the answer to checkpoint 1B is 6x plus 5, 6x minus 5. Let's move on to the next page. Factoring perfect square trinomials. I told you we're not going to do much with this. I'm not going to make you learn another formula for this. You don't really have to. You can just factor them like you normally factor them. And we did in section 6-3 and 6-2, we did the diamond. You can do the diamond. It'll work for you instead of having you memorize a formula. Remember, in our diamond, we have to add to B, so we have to add to 6 and multiply to A times C, which is 9. Multiply to 9. Two numbers that add to 6 and multiply to 9. That is 3 and 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 plus 3 is 6. And so what you get is x plus 3 times x plus 3. The reason why this is special is because you get the same number twice. You get x plus 3 twice. And so we write it as a perfect square, which means it would be x plus 3 squared. I'm not going to do the rest of these. I'm not going to do B, not going to do C. You don't have to in your notes. It's okay. I'm not going to do the checkpoint either because we've done all these before. Let's move on to something we haven't done yet. Factoring the sum or difference of two squares. You have two new formulas. You have a cubed plus b cubed. That comes out to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. And b would be a cubed minus b cubed, and that would be a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Very similar formulas, the only difference is the signs. When you're putting the numbers in for a and b, for instance, let's look at example A and then I can explain it a little better. Same thing goes for the difference of squares too earlier. The formula takes care of any signs, so you can treat everything as a positive number. And so we have 27 minus y cubed. You can treat that as a positive y, and you put the sign, you keep the sign the same as the formula, whatever the formula says. And so if we're looking at it, we're using this formula. We're going to do minus y because it's already in our y cubed, so b is going to be y. And so you have a minus b and then a squared plus ab plus b squared to do. But we got to find our a and a b. 27 to be written as a cube, or a third power, however you want to say that. It means it's the same number multiplied by itself 3 times. Squared is just a number multiplied by itself once. Most people are used to that. Cubes, most people don't know those right off the top of their head. You might have to do some calculating with your calculators to figure out what numbers make 27 when you multiply it 3 times. It just so happens it's a small number in this case. If you take 3 and you cube it, you get 27. And that would mean you got 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3, the first 2 make 9, and that 9 times the last 3 would make 27. So we've got to write this as a cube. We got 3 cubed, and y is already written as a cube. So we got 3 cubed minus y cubed. That means a is 3 and b is y. Or yes, b is y. And we're going to plug them into the formula. The formula is a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So I'm going to plug in a for a. 3 minus my y for b. A squared, that would be 3 squared, plus a times b, so that would be 3 times y, or 3y, plus b squared would be y squared. Now there's one more step. 3 squared is 9, so I can write that in. 3 minus y times 9 plus 3y plus y squared. That's my answer. Pause here. Try checkpoint 3. Make sure you notice which formula you're supposed to be using. When you come back, I'll give you the answer. The answer for checkpoint 3 is x plus 2 times x squared minus 2x plus 4. That's all for section 6.4. Tomorrow I'll give you the assignment.